This is a segmented and slightly tool-assisted challenge run of the Big Catch Tacklebox, which seeks to 100% the game with as few grapples as possible. There are 26 fish in the game, 5 of those require bait, and that's a minimum of 31 grapples, which is a lot. So I've included a non-fish grapple tally down in the bottom left corner, which gives a better idea of how many grapples are really used. It's much more appreciable that way. I said this is segmented. All that means is that we have a save state at the start of any given segment, and we repeat attempts of that segment until we get a successful one. And then we stitch those successful attempts together into one full video. Soon enough, I'm going to start jumping on balloons to get the coins inside of them. You can do that, by the way. It skips using the grapple for the urchin. So yeah, it's pretty simple. This game is a very generous input buffer. An input buffer is when you do an input for a certain action before that action is possible, but the game kind of carries the inputs forwards and does the action on the first frame that it is possible to do it. The simplest example of this is used right here, actually. It's pressing jump right before you grab onto a ledge, making tackle jump off the ledge frame perfectly. You can also use it for a spin, so whenever I bounce on one of these, you can see that I go into a falling state with upward speed. Doing a spin right before that just buffers the spin so that instead of kind of falling super quick, tackle is just spinning, makes him fall slower. Yeah. So I should say the first two grapples of this run are the bait and the fish in the tutorial. Whatever, there's nothing to say about that. But I do need to explain state machines, so if you're programming something that has multiple distinct modes of operation, then a state machine is just a way to organize that code. Tackle's falling state is a good example of a state because movement inputs accelerate him like a certain amount. He's subject to gravity, and if he entered the falling state from something that wasn't pressing jump, then for a short time he can initiate a jump despite being in the air. That's called coyote time. It's basically the reverse of an input buffer. The variable that tracks whether or not tackle left the ground without jumping is reset when he's on the ground, and it's tracked between his various states. For whatever reason, transitioning into or out of a mid-air spin allows that coyote time to be used, which is called a spin coyote. Now here I do it really fast out of a slide off of a ledge. That has a buggy animation and retains more speed, so we call that a helicopter because it looks a little weird. And that's just to skip using the tether above. Now I grabbed the whistle here, but normally like you're supposed to use a sand shredder to get out of the tutorial like thingy here because there's dangerous sand, but we can just use some spin pounds to skip that. But I did grab the whistle for a reason, so just keep that in mind. That does skip a grapple though. Because using a shredder uses a grapple, all of the movement between areas is manual and long and boring. I didn't want to cut anything out, so you just kind of have to deal with it. But like with that in mind, I'm actually surprised that this run ended up as short as it did. Sub 1 hour is kind of impressive to me for a challenge like this. Yeah, I don't have a lot to talk about for this area, and that's going to be a theme. The commentary for the first segment was quite dense because I wanted to cover a lot, but not so anymore. There's basically nothing to say right now. There are 4 coins, like, off the side of the ledge right here that Jaspev kept forgetting to grab, so the route's kind of scuffed. And here she does some wall jumps to skip pulling out a platform, which uses a grapple, of course. These 2 walls aren't actually parallel, they're like slightly offset. So the only way this works is by slightly shifting the camera with each jump. It takes like 60 of them. We're here for like 45 seconds. And she considers it the dumbest grapple save in the run, which I probably agree with. Yeah. Incredible stuff. You can see on the right, the little like platform that you pull out has a little tether spot on it. And there's just normal platforming. Wow. And then very unnecessarily she gets that shortcut rod to go back and get these coins. That was another spin coyote, this time not a helicopter, so that's what they normally look like. You'll be seeing several of those. Which, pretty sure I already said, but well, whatever, it's fine. These ground pounds and like jumps are normal speedrun movement. It's just a much faster way to cross this bridge. A helpful side effect is that it gives you enough speed to make it to this little ledge, which skips a grapple that's normally required to get over here. It also skips a grapple on the tentacle spring, I suppose, so that's a double skip. Here there's another coyote to get over to this. That skips using the tentacle spring, which is another grapple skip. Likewise, another coyote off of the rail gets us up to the fish on this top platform. That's another tentacle spring skip. And then the rest of this, there isn't really anything, there aren't really any grapples to skip, so I'm just going to talk about save states, which I mentioned earlier. So this game has a debug menu in it. Normally it's inaccessible, but Spectral Platypus put together a mod that enables it and also adds useful speedrun practice features. One of the native features of the debug menu, so this isn't due to the mod, is that you can hold F1 to set a custom respawn point just wherever you want, and then you can press F1 to respawn without pausing and pressing warp. And one of the features that the mod itself adds are save states. That was added by StratSus, not Spectral Platypus. I think pretty much everything else is Spectral though. But yeah, save states, basically you just can make a save wherever you want, and in every way it's a regular Tacklebox save, except that when you load it, it also retains Tackle's position, facing angle, and the camera angle from when you saved. So that's just like a really convenient way to go to the exact same starting point with all of the correct like amount of coins and fish and whatnot. So you don't have to like... It would... I don't even know how you would do it otherwise. It would be terrible. Anyway, for reasons that'll become apparent later, that was necessary to use. There's no way this run would have happened without save states enabling that. Or really just the debug mod in general. Menu, rather, whatever. But since we need the menu up to use its features, because all of them are disabled if it's like not visible. And that's obviously where that yellow text in the top right corner comes from. Because we need it up anyway, it might as well just be there the whole run, so like there. just chose to have it visible all the time for convenience. There are also a couple segments later in the run that are performed at 50% speed and then sped up in post. Those are another reason that we need the debug mod, and all of this together makes this slightly tool assisted, like I said earlier. Because those are tools that are making gameplay that isn't normally possible. But it's pretty light, like it's not that prominent. This little helicopter just saves like a second or two or whatever. I don't know how many seconds. Doesn't matter. You can also do a spin coyote here to save going all the way around on the vines. For some reason it was really inconsistent for me. I don't know why. I wasn't like jumping into the vines, so yeah, I don't know, whatever. So I just like gave up on it. I should say the route for like this entire challenge isn't optimized. Like I'm not doing areas in this order because that's the fastest. It's actually like the overall route is kind of just a holdover from when in the early stages of this challenge I was just like doing it alone and doing it as an RTA like single session thing. So yeah, it doesn't really mean that much. In a moment here I'm going to switch to controller because it makes setting up this jump easier. Like I used a visual cue there to know where to jump off. And actually I used two, I guess technically, but whatever. It also makes the spins much easier because I do clockwise spins on controller. I don't think it would help that much if you do counterclockwise spins, which is funny. That also doesn't save a grapple, it just saves some time. It's the speedrun strat on the current version. There's also some fancy movement on the poles a second ago that also just saves time. This is a grapple save because normally you're supposed to use a tether like in the middle here to swing across, but you can just like go around in kind of a silly manner. And then there's maze fish, which I didn't do very well. Is what it is. Yeah. I don't know if this was actually faster, but I figured like I could do a spin pound thing to start the wall jumps higher up, and surely doing these wall jumps is faster than going all the way around. Question mark, maybe? I have no idea. I didn't time it. Like I kind of just improvised that. An amusing thing about this route is that we actually do this platforming back here. In fact, overall, this route for Garden Temple is like pretty much what's intended, which you don't see in any other route, period. Because like, why would you do that, you know? Doing these vine jumps, like why? But yeah, here it's required, which is funny. Now, there's some collision, which is neither a floor nor a wall. It's like in an in-between sort of area. And when you jump into it, Tackle doesn't land on it, so he doesn't like stand or slide. And he also doesn't grab onto it for like a wall jump or anything. And what this means basically is that if you spin into it, the spin persists, it's not interrupted. So you can do a spin coyote here, and because of the slope, because it's an incline, that spin jump goes higher than a jump normally would, allowing you to do that cool jump. Here I switched to controller again for some spins, just to get over this gap without using a tether. And then I accidentally bumped my mouse when I switched back to keyboard and mouse, which is funny. But yeah, that coyote thing up that slope, Jaspev found that a while ago. It's completely useless outside of this category, and even in this category, it's just for speed. That doesn't save a grapple. It's just kind of for swag points, I guess. So, if you walk into a vine, and Tackle grabs it, you haven't used the jump, which means you can still coyote out of it, even if you do this lunge thing. So here we do a coyote, and then a side flip into a ground pound to get a bunch of speed, and that allows me to do a ground pound jump up here. And that skips, and another coyote here, and then that neither wall nor ceiling, wall nor floor thing to get up that slope, and some fancy wall jumps. All of that saves like 2 or 3 grapples or something like that. Yeah, so that's all pretty good. And that's it for garden pretty much. Like, you just saw the last grapple obstacle in the area. Like, there are still things to tether later on, but none of them pose an actual challenge. They're like really easy to work around with pretty much intended methods. So yeah, the rest of this is like a faux speedrun kind of route. I'm just doing some swift cleanup. Once again, doing this fancy jump here just saves some time. That's like a known speedrun strat. Nothing special there. I figured that doing a helicopter over here might be like a decent way to route this. I don't know what the alternative would be. I didn't really think about it. This is just a hunch. Yeah. So a lot of these poles that you walk on extend into the wall a little bit. For whatever reason, on every single one that does do that, you can just walk through if you hold forward into the wall. So I just use that there. And there on that shortcut rod, I touch it to get a little bump up, and then coyote out of that because it doesn't count as a jump. And that's enough height to reach these vines, which is obviously faster. That doesn't save a grapple or anything, it's just faster. I guess I should say the fastest way to swim is to boost and jump out of the water repeatedly. Someone timed that. I want to say it was StratSus, but I'm not certain. That was quite a while ago though. Like, quite a while ago. Yeah, just catching fish. Wah. Once again, like, there's nothing special about this part of garden. So, yeah, garden's done. Yippee! I still have 2 bell mortars to grab, so there I get some speed off of that slope that is supposed to look like stairs. And then go over to this one. And there's some more boring travel. I could have ground pounded the slope to my right there. I just didn't think to do that for some reason, so it's a little slower than it probably could have been. It's fine. Whatever. I tried my best to get as much speed from all the slopes on the plateau as I could, but a lot of the times, like right here, there's just nothing to work with. So there is no known way to get the coins inside of the cube and get up to the top without grabbing this. This is the first non-fish grapple in the run. It's very possible and also just a normal speedrun thing to do this in one cycle, so you only need to grab it once. But yeah, there it is. It's like not far from 20 minutes into the run, which I think is cool. This is a delayed coyote. I said earlier that if you transition into or out of the midair spin state, then you're able to use coyote frames. That's a case where we do a spin and then cancel the spin state and like return to the regular falling one, which is actually the jump state, but whatever. And then that allows us to jump anyway, just in midair. It's a more comfortable version of a spin coyote, because doing a spin put and then like pressing jump at the right point in that spin put is a little bit weird. But pressing like whistle and jump or attack and jump on this at the same time, and it's like not even lenient. You have several frames of leniency. That's like totally fine. I'm pretty happy with how fast I got to this area from the cube. There were some good slopes. Good stuff. So during this section I do this area Seesaw, and then I go get the fish in like the little fossil depression out in the sand. And then I do like the little bouncy net tower. None of these have anything that you can grapple besides fish and like health fruit, but why would I grapple those? So I did it all in one take because like it doesn't even really matter for the challenge run. That also means that there's nothing like immediately relevant to the challenge to discuss for a while. So it's worth noting that this run is performed on the current version of the game, version 1.2.4, but speedrunners mostly play on version 1.1 because it has some glitches that got patched out, which make speedruns faster. The total grapple count is actually identical between the two versions, so there's no reason that you would like need to play on 1.1 or this one in order to get the same number of grapples as this run. Also, I did pretty poorly with this fish. But 1.1 does make some parts significantly easier, namely Garden is a bit easier, Mortar's way easier, and Pond I assume is easier, but I've never actually like looked into it. But yeah, same grapple count, so it doesn't matter. I'm just used to playing on this version, so I did it on this version. Or I guess we did it on this version, whatever. As for how this challenge came about, basically in early February, or yeah, more or less, in February of 2025, the speedrunner Carrot on Live started doing a minimum A press challenge. He was playing on controller, so yeah. I guess now's a good time to oh my god. I guess now is a good time to mention an important distinction. This is not a button press challenge. This is a like in-game action challenge. So pressing left click isn't like the thing that counts as a grapple here. It's actually the fishing rod hooking onto something that counts as a grapple. Anyway, yeah, Carrot started doing low A. I got like a little bit involved in that. I hadn't speedran the game or anything yet, although I was like a lurker in the community for a while by then. But yeah, Carrot was doing that. At some point I suggested using the debug mod feature to turn down the game's timescale, which you'll see later, to make some otherwise infeasible stuff feasible, to bring the A press count lower. And some of the strats developed with that in mind, particularly the one for Cube, where you bounce on bait for like several minutes to get to the top. It's really bad. that kind of put me off. I wanted something that was more RTA friendly so that potentially I could like do my own little runs and try and get PBs for the lowest, like the lowest A press count, I guess. So I basically went like, okay, well, another challenge would be to do minimum grapples, I guess. So I just started doing that. At the time, the route was pretty bad. I think I got it down to like 55 total, which is 24 non-fish grapples. Obviously, it's better now. Yeah, it wasn't great. Anyway, soon after, like half a month later or so... Oh, by the way, I ground pounded that net thinking it would be faster than the regular ground, but it was actually way slower. Yeah, so shortly after I started like speedrunning the game, and I got way better, and then like in December of 2025 I finally came back to the challenge, started doing it some more, and Jaspev helped out with routing. So that's how it got to this state. Most of this was recorded in December and like the start of January, so it's taken me a while to get this done. There's no known way to skip the grapple on this tentacle spring coming up here in order to enter Mortar. Jaspev had like an idea, I don't know if it was proven or not, but it's like completely infeasible to do without task tools, and if we had task tools this wouldn't be a segmented run, this would be a low-tad, so yeah, just gonna eat the grapple. So, quick reminder, as I said earlier, some collision is in like an in-between state between a floor and a wall, such that you can spin up it and it gets you more height than any other jump that you can do. That's going to be used shortly. Also, whenever you ground pound in this game, Tackle has like a little animation where he does like a flip, and during that flip he gets pushed up a little. And that actually does affect his collision. It's kind of like Mario 64 ground pounds. But yeah, you can use that to get on this, which isn't a slippery slope for some reason, and then just jump up. And that saves like 2 grapples from what's intended. Here we use the neither floor nor wall thing 3 times. Once to get up here, once to get a slight boost there, which lets us get onto this wood, and then we can do a very precise jump into a damage boost, still utilizing the neither floor nor wall thing to get a little higher. In order to get up here, that saves 2 grapples, question mark, I think. The very next thing that I have to do is go get this coin, because with the Bell Mortar dead, I can't damage boost up here again, because I used the Bell Mortar to do that. So if I didn't get that right away, then like I just would have had to try again. The rest of this wasn't routed, I just improvised it because I was stupid. So yeah, it's not very efficient. Oh well, it is what it is. Jaspev had an alternate strat idea for getting up to the Bell Mortar, where you would like lure one of the enemies. We'll see them soon. I don't know exactly when, but you can like lure enemies up one of the slopes and then bounce on them. I think the idea was you like bounce on them to get up to where you would normally swing to, like right by where I did the fancy damage boost stuff. If you go the other way, like you're supposed to swing over and then use a tentacle spring soon after that. You can like damage boost, get up to where you swing to without any grapples, and then do a fancy jump to skip the tentacle spring as well. We assume that's theoretically possible. Like it literally is, you can do that, but we don't know how feasible it is to do that with the Bell Mortar alive, because the explosions kill the enemies, so you would have to like keep them alive while making them chase you. It seems like a nightmare. This was easier. Yeah. there isn't a whole lot to talk about right now. I do the ground pound bump thing again, so I guess you can get another look at that. Yay! So there's a slope right here. You can see it, it's like this rocky texture. I'm about to go down it. And you lure these enemies up that slope, which just works for some reason. So those are the enemies, and that's like the area that you would have to do that alternate strat with. And since I have some time, I should explain that bait doesn't count, at least for my purposes, doesn't count as a non-fish grapple. If you, like, so here I initially hook the bait, right? And I never unhook the bait, like it always stays attached to my rod. Until I, like, chuck it at the fish and the fish eats it and then I reel the fish in. So there are no grapples between that, like I'm not grappling the bait twice, so it counts as a fish grapple rather than a non-fish grapple. If you happen to disagree with that, that's fair enough. Once I get, or I guess not me, but whatever. Once pond is over, you can just add 5 non-fish grapples, and that'll be like the real total, if you subscribe to that agenda. Yeah, so I'm heading over to Springer. Speedrunners tend to call this Fling Course, I think, but I call it Springer because it's like file names in the game, and also it has tentacle springs, and I'm stupid and weird. Yeah. So this is the first segment performed at half speed. It's totally feasible to like climb this thing RTA, but I just could not manage it. So I just did it at half speed because like who cares? We need half speed later anyway. You'll see. It's a lot more justifiable in every other instance, of which there are 3, by the way. Excluding this one. Originally I did Springer, but something new was found by Jaspev, so, and I did not want to perform it, so she ended up doing this area after all. There are going to be lots of coyotes and like a helicopter or 2. We're skipping all kinds of grapples, like I can't list all of them. Hopefully you know the game well enough that you can understand that a lot of them are being skipped. You can use that outermost like hole to get up that, like from the bottom floor of that to the middle one, which like I didn't think to do that until Jaspev told me, I think, so that's just like a cool thing. She does a death warp here. Basically this game updates your, well, it's a void warp I guess, but it updates your respawn position on like a delay, so if you keep jumping, which is very easy thanks to the input buffer, you can like delay your spawn getting updated and just fall into a void and go wherever. This is also performed at half speed because Jaspev realized you could cross this gap by bouncing on the fish. To get this coin without using the big tentacle spring at the top, so that's a pretty big grapple save. Takes this area down to 0 non-fish grapples, which wow. Originally I was hesitant to include that. I assumed that she would just do it like from the sand straight up, which is way more boring. But ultimately I was like, okay, I should include it. And that trick is why she's the one who recorded that segment and not me. Oops. So the commentary that was originally playing here, this is like a re-record a while later. The commentary that was originally here is redundant with some re-records that I did. So, I guess I'll just take this opportunity to say that in this section, Jaspev, or like the segment that Jaspev is about to start for Pond Tower, she had music off in game, so there's just no music. Oops. I could have like added it in post, but I don't really care. Like, who cares? Whatever. Yeah. So. Yep. I don't know if this makes any sense as like a routing thing, but I decided when I originally recorded Springer to just grab these coins and fish on the way to the warp point. I don't know. That might just be slower. I have no idea. I originally did this segment. Once again, Jaspev is doing it now. The same thing for bone rails, actually. I just didn't want to do those stupid wall jumps that she found. Because it's hard. Like that, it's not easy to do those. It might have looked kind of silly and trivial, but it's difficult. And there's a similar thing in this area that I just couldn't be bothered trying to get. So I just forced her to do it. She had fun. I wasn't actually forcing her to do it. Anyway. There's a thingy I found here where, because of the way that this tower is tilted, you can like gain speed by just jumping. And that's enough to make it across this gap without using either of those tether points, which is silly. So when you're holding bait, or like the urchin at the start of the game, I guess, and you press the grapple button, then you charge a cast, right? That doesn't unhook the bait, so we can cast here to attract the fish, because fish and enemies are attracted to bait even if they're like on land and they try and go over and eat it. So we can use that to get the bait to jump, or the fish to jump down without letting go of the bait, so it doesn't take an extra grapple. So it's a non-fish grapple, because right after we use the bait on this fish without ever unhooking it. Of course, it's a little weird that we attract that fish down. That's drawerfish up there that we attracted, by the way. We call it drawerfish because it's like behind a drawer. It's a little weird that we don't catch it right away, but that's just a necessity to lower the grapple count. If we let go of the bait, which is the only way to catch the fish, then we have to grab it later. That's a non-fish grapple. There was a cool strat I found to like optimize using the drawers to get up the tower while getting the drawerfish like on the way, but this obsoleted both of those, so, well, a trick you'll see soon did, but yeah, so that's just how this route is, I guess. Oh, right, yeah, there's, okay. For some reason, I swear her audio drivers are just like messed up in some esoteric way. Here's another dumb wall jump, by the way. You can like do this and just skip pulling out those drawers and using the ceiling tether. So that's 3. That skips 3 grapples. Anyway, something's up with Jaspev's audio sometimes, so it kind of messed up while recording this. There's no way for her to tell, because it only shows up in the recording. Like, there's no way for her to tell as it's happening, so just kind of unlucky that it happened here. So there was that bit of like crackling, and like it's weirdly desynced now. It's fine. Some clever spin pounds here, or I guess a clever spin pound, lets you grab the ledge to skip like 1,000 tethers kind of around the other side of this tower. So that's a big grapple save. And then also there's just like a ledge here that you can grab and climb up here. Which it sort of completes that grapple skip, although you could just helicopter down to the platform that they normally take you to. Either one works. And then there aren't any grapple points for the rest of this tower, so not much to say. Jaspev missed that coin, like, I think twice trying to record this, which is funny. It's not a big enough mistake to redo the whole segment, but yeah, it is funny. Here's some interesting movement that I think Single Scoop in the speedrun community found. Like a faster and quite cool way to get up here. Also, I can't believe that Jaspev went for this midair fish grab. Like, it's wild to me. In a moment here, Jaspev uses the whistle to do a delayed coyote. It could have been an attack. I kind of wish that she used an attack instead, because this makes it seem like that's what the whistle's for. It's not. That's still coming. But yeah, it's just a delayed coyote. It's normal. I just like hit my chair. Anyway, in order to save Grapples from getting out of the tower, we just warp to the checkpoint that we grabbed. Yeah, that saves like 1 grapple for opening the door. I did the crane segment. Originally Jaspev did with a different strat, but for reasons I'm not going to explain, it was decided that I should re-record it, because I can do helicopters more consistently due to like a setup that is convenient with my keybinds, because I have like custom mouse button stuff. Anyway, this jump sucks. Like it sucks. I don't like this jump, but you can get over here and that skips 2 grapples. And then the rest, like, there's not much in this area, you know. Whatever. Normally you're supposed to use this tether to get these coins, but you can just do a helicopter. Which again, that's why I did this segment instead of Jaspev. And now we need to get the coin in this thing that we call a well, but I'm not sure actually resembles a well, like, at all. I don't know what it resembles. It's kind of an abstract little structure. It's like a tiny little shrine or like a gazebo with water and a torch. I don't know. Then just over to Slide. The final regular area. Which also happens to be the worst one in the challenge by far. Or really, it's not the worst in the challenge, it's the worst in the game. Or at least Jaspev thinks though. Like this is the single, she said this is the single worst IL in the entire game, which is fun. It's also where we finally use the shredder whistle. It's coming. Hope you're excited. Just kind of grabbing this fish. If you like spin while jumping up slopes, you can just go up slopes, slippery slopes in this game, at least if they're not too steep. So here's the shredder. We use this guy to bounce up here. And then you can just spin up these slopes with the help of a little spin coyote. This feels random. That jump sucks. It's terrible. I've done it as well as Jaspev. We both hate it. You can spin up this entire slide, but she wanted to do it without any spins, just like because she thinks that's neat. So yeah. I would imagine if you just like resigned to using a spin or two, it might be slightly faster, but I don't really know. Same principle used here. Just spin up a slope, hit that, because you need it for some coins. I mean, you don't strictly need it, but getting back up there would suck without getting it, so you might as well. Then she just does a spin coyote to get on this. If you ground pound a little slope on the ground here, and then like slide out of it and jump off of that slope, it gives you enough speed to get up here. And then there's a weird thing where if you ground pound that slope that you just jumped off, it's like jutting out of the ground, it's the slippery one. If you ground pound that and attack at the same time, there's like this weird collision thing that allows you to like float up the side of the pillar. I don't know why, it sucks to perform. So there's a big coin on like a platform up there. You're supposed to use a sand shredder to jump off of this slope to get up there. We're not going to do that. Jaspev's just like spinning up this again, fails at the top, has to do it again, is what it is. The next segment in a moment here, Jaspev called Torture, and it took her hours to get at half speed, because it's like incredibly precise. You have to spin pound in very, very specific spots. It's rough. And I think, in her opinion, it's the single hardest movement string in the game, besides maybe low A press cube, which is what I mentioned earlier, where you bounce on bait for several minutes real time, which is like really difficult to do. But yeah, that jump, the like spin pounds to get up to that big coin, getting that ledge grab is way more precise than you might think. In the meantime, I guess I should say, this is actually the second time that Jaspev recorded this area. The first time, between the first and second segments, she accidentally pressed a debug mod hotkey to reset all of the coins, which lowered the coin counter, and so she had to redo all of this. It was really sad. But she powered through, and it took another several hours. It's so bad. Here's more half-speed garbage. This is small torture. That's what she called it. It just requires a lot of like perfect spin puts in the air, and the game sometimes just drops spin puts for no reason. This is also like really, really difficult. But yeah, those two slowdown sections are the reason that that's easily the worst IL that Jaspev's done in this game. So I performed this, of course. First of all, you just like go turn in fish because you need to do that. You can skip using the shredder to get back by just like falling into the tutorial pit. It's slightly faster to use that rock to just go up, so I did it that way, but it's completely trivial to do this, so that's not remarkable. It does mean that you have to do the spin pounds out again with the tree. Whatever. You know, it's not very hard to do that. Although, actually I should say, the game stutters there because every single frame that a coin is collected, the game saves. For like each coin it saves. So if you collect 10 in a frame, it saves 10 times. So it just causes stutters. It's silly. Anyway, Yeah, I forgot that you could do the spin pound there from like way lower on the tree, so that wasted a couple seconds. Who cares, you know? Just heading over to the entrance of the Dark Tower. Not much to say. Yeah. I hope this was interesting to watch. Because I've been a speedrunner for a while, and for even longer than that, I've been in the speedrun community more like vaguely, even if I wasn't personally a runner. Like I'm pretty used to some of this stuff. I don't know how impressive any of this looks to someone who isn't acquainted with the speedrun that much, or even someone who is a runner but hasn't seen all this low grapple stuff. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's pretty boring. Maybe not. Whatever. Yeah. So there's like a little coffin room in a moment here. Jaspev and probably others in the speedrun community have collectively spent hours trying to find some sort of clip or something to skip this for speedruns, but no one has found anything, so that's the third non-fish grapple. Is what it is. Utilizing the neither floor nor wall thing, we can just spin up this wall and use the adjacent wall's ledge to ledge grab at the top. That just skips like going around the spiral a bit. That doesn't skip a grapple. Jaspev found this neat little jump here to skip, I think like 3 intended grapples. This one, and then the tentacle spring. It also ended up being faster than the old speedrun strat that we used to do there, so that's cool. Jaspev thinks it's easier. I don't know why. I think the old one's easier, even though because it's a spin coyote, it's prone to the spin just not working for no reason, because this game's kind of dumb about that sometimes. But that's not relevant to this challenge. Anyway, I don't know how many grapples this saves, but you can just wall jump back and forth here and gain height. Apparently, Jaspev tried to count how many there are, and she got 144, but she's not totally confident in that. Yeah. This takes over 2 minutes. It's not that bad to do this on keyboard, but as I was saying, I did like a couple RTA attempts of this challenge, and that was back when I was on my bad computer, or my old computer, either or. So because of frame rate issues and the way that mouse sensitivity works in this game, I basically had to play on controller, and my hoof bit that I used for the left stick would like drift outward as I moved the stick back and forth, so I had to like pause the game mid wall jumps and like recenter it. It was so bad. Also, if you're not aware, if you hold like forward while doing these back and forth wall jumps on a back wall, that makes it like it makes it really consistent. But if you just press left and right, then it's inconsistent for some reason. When I say you hold forward, like you can look at the input display, I'm doing diagonal up left and diagonal up right. So like you still press left and right, but you have to hold towards the back wall, and that makes it consistent. Anyway, the top of this wall slants inward, and you can't go further than that. I just showed it there. Serendipitous. And we don't have a way to get higher than that, so the last non-fish grapple is right there. So that's the run. It's a bit of an anticlimactic ending, or a downer ending or something, I don't know, whatever. Having to use that grapple on that blue flower, but it is what it is. However, I would like to go over the remaining non-fish grapples in the run. First, of course, was in cube. You have to like grab this thing to open it. It is possible to get the coins on the side by spawning a shredder and like jumping off them and doing some wall jumps or whatever. Like whatever. It's pretty unremarkable. I don't know, you can do something, whatever it is. And it's also theoretically possible to use the goldfish from over in Garden Temple, because Garden Temple stays loaded, as you can see. Those lights are on and whatnot. Like all of that is loaded. You could take the goldfish all the way over, just like in Springer, to get to the top with this guy. Like that's theoretically possible. However, there's no way to get the coins inside of Cube without using a grapple. There is a way to clip in version 1.1, but it uses a grapple anyway, so yeah, we have no way to get those coins. That's what's preventing a grapple save here. Otherwise, theoretically, we could bounce on the fish all the way over to get the fish up top. Hopefully we never need to do that, and if there's a solution for this, it'll let us get to the top as well without having to do that. It's also worth noting that you, as far as we can tell, you aren't able to collect coins through walls. Apparently that was maybe helpful, like in theory at some point in Pond Tower for like speedruns or something. That's what Jaspev says, who by the way goes by Jelly now. In the middle of making this video, she switched usernames. It's fine. But yeah, there's no way to grab coins through the wall, so you can't just like do that here. Even though swinging does allow you to grab coins normally. So the second non-fish grapple in the run is this one at the start of Mortar Island. You have to use this tentacle spring to get up to the vines. Jelly thinks that this is the most likely one to save of the remaining non-fish grapples. I don't remember it exactly, but she was experimenting with some sort of spin pound thing where you get a bunch of speed to like bring it over here, wall jump off of these two walls consecutively, and maybe reach the vines, but she wasn't able to make it work. The other idea is pretty horrible and esoteric. So there's this thing where if you spawn on top of an enemy, then the game will just like make Tackle rise up a bunch for some reason. This also works with sand shredders, so in theory you could spawn a sand shredder, set your spawn point, and then quickly run off the ledge and respawn inside of the shredder, get a bunch of height, and you can coyote out of that onto the vines, maybe. She thinks it's possible. It took her like half an hour of trying to get a single one of those like weird rising things using sand shredders with the debug mod. So she was pressing F1 to respawn, to try and respawn inside them, and it took her like half an hour to get it once. So this is like never gonna happen without task tools. But you can see the idea here. Okay, it didn't work for some reason. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so you can you go up a bunch. You can coyote out of that. It's maybe enough height to reach the vines, but we don't know for sure. You would just do it like from the highest point you could, like right here or whatever. Yeah, that's maybe probably possible, but completely infeasible. nonetheless, having two solutions that look pretty close makes this one the best candidate for a grapple save. As for the coffin, there's pretty much nothing to say about this. The only way that you can get past this is by clipping past it. Like, you can ledge grab here, but that's useless. That doesn't really do anything. We don't know of any way to clip through this. Jelly thinks that if we find anything, it'll probably be from above, so just going like through one of these corners or something into the Dark Tower directly. But yeah, there's like nothing to work with. The room is just a box, pretty much. There's no weird collision in here. Like, it's all very standard. Yeah, this one's looking rough. We're probably not going to save this, like, ever. Of course, one of the ideas with this is maybe you could, like, lower FPS so that the game calculates, like, a bigger movement distance for a single step than at a higher frame rate, and, like, maybe you could use that to get through or something, but we don't really know of a way to do that. This crack here seems like the most plausible spot where that could help. It's right up against the wall, so I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's a lost cause. Like, we don't really know. We don't have any real ideas for what to do here. The final one, again, is this blue flower at the end of the Dark Tower. I already said this before, but due to how, like, steep this top part is, you can't actually wall jump and gain any height. It just kind of like pushes you down and keeps you there. Jelly had tried slowing the game down and like doing some wall jumps with spins, but you just don't have the height, because you jump off like here, right? At most you're gonna get like this much height, and then with another jump off you're gonna be like here and nowhere near this ledge. I've also tried that. It just doesn't seem plausible that could ever work. Her only other idea is taking one of the fish from Mortar Island and doing the Springer bounce. The problem with that is that Mortar Island unloads way before you would actually get here. So like, that's not gonna work. So like, let's say you get this high, it unloads here, like, let me try my best. Like, this isn't happening. Yeah, so that doesn't work. We don't really have anything else to work with, so this is also kind of looking like a lost cause. Overall, the Mortar Island one feels reasonably plausible that it might be saved someday. The cube one is like, it's a bit of a long shot, I feel, but like maybe it'll happen. And then these last two ones probably just aren't ever going to happen. There's just so little to work with. Yeah, it's not looking good for these. So anyway, that's the run and the current state of any like potential grapple saves from here on out. Hopefully one day this will be outdated and we'll like enter Mortar without a grapple. Maybe do cube without one as well. But yeah, this is the best we could manage. And it's not really looking like this will be improved substantially without some pretty significant discoveries. There's still definitely room for some like time optimizations or whatnot, so that could be cool. Maybe this run will get shorter and more impressive in that sense, but this will probably remain the grapple count for a while. So that's the end.